Hello everyone. In this video, we will go through 15 sample questions and answer them in detail to help you prepare for the DA 100 Analyzing Data with Microsoft Power BI exam. In case if you like to purchase the entire set of practice questions, use the link in the description below. Also, check out my YouTube channel. I have covered the sample questions for other Power Platform certifications, and in case if you don't find them for any Power Platform certification, please leave a comment and I will create a video on that. In addition to that, check out my blog for the DA 100 study guide, which lists various resources that you can use to help you prepare for the exam. So let's get started. Which of the following choices can be used to query the data from Azure Analysis Services cubes? Select multiple options. So you can install either the multidimensional or the tabular model in an Analysis Services instance. While you strictly need to use MDX for multidimensional models and DAX for tabular models for creating business logic in the form of calculations and expressions, you have the option of using either the DAX or the MDX language to query the data in either the multidimensional or the tabular models. The question is specific to Analysis Services cubes, which is nothing but the multidimensional model. So as discussed, both MDX or DAX can be used for querying the data. Option A is incorrect, as Transact SQL is the expression for querying the data in Microsoft SQL Server, not Azure Analysis Services cubes. Option D is incorrect, as PL SQL is the block-structured language that combines SQL with the features of procedural languages. Option E is incorrect, as tabular model is a data model and not a query language that can be used to query the data. You need to import a huge dataset in the Power Query editor. You want to check whether a column consists of only the unique values. Which of the below data preview options can be used for the given purpose? Select multiple options. Well, let's actually try to import an Excel dataset in Power BI. To go to the Power Query editor, select the tables and click Transform Data. If you go to the View tab, you can see data profiling tools like Column Quality, Column Distribution, and Column Profile. The Column Quality feature displays a percentage of the valid, error, or empty records in any column. It doesn't show any information on the number of unique or duplicate records. The Column Distribution feature shows the frequency and distribution of the values in each of the columns. So here I would like to digress a bit and make a distinction between distinct values and unique values, since they both sound very similar and easy to get confused. Distinct means the total number of different values regardless of how many times they appear in the dataset. So we have a total of 6 different or 6 distinct values. Whereas unique values are the total number of values that appear only once. These 5 values appear only once, and so they are unique values. Senior Manager appears twice, so it is left out in the counting of the number of unique values. So coming back to our question, Column Distribution feature does help to know the number of unique values. And the Column Profile feature provides a more in-depth look at the data in a column. In addition to the column distribution chart, it also contains a column statistics chart. This feature too gives information about the number of unique values. So options A and C are the right answers. Monospaced lets you display a monospaced font in the editor window, so it is incorrect. And show white spaces helps you to visualize any white space characters and line feeds in data cells. It is incorrect too. Consider a scenario of 2 tables. One table is employees that has employee details like name, address, ID, and joining date. Another table is projects that has the columns employee ID, project ID, and starting date. Now, the HR team is interested in having the details of the employees and the projects they work on in a single table. Which of the following operations would you perform? Now, you can do this in SQL with a classic inner join operation. But here in Power BI, you can do inner join or any other join with the help of a merge operation. So you combine two tables in Power BI with the help of a merge operation. Option A is incorrect as append operation adds up the rows of one table into another. The new table will have rows from all the tables with the same number of columns. Option C is incorrect as combined column is a column level operation and not a table operation. Union operation combines two tables by removing the repeated rows, and combined row is a row level operation and not a table operation. Which of the following statements is true? Well, these are statements based on fact and dimension tables. So let's take a look at an example of a star schema with the fact table fact sales at the center and three dimension tables date, store and product with each having a relationship with the fact table. Dimension tables store information about business entities such as products or dates, and fact table stores the observational data, that is the information regarding business events like the number of units sold by a particular store on a specific date. So option A correctly describes this scenario. Option B says just the opposite of option A, so it is incorrect. Fact tables and dimension tables do not represent the same thing. Option C is incorrect. And fact and dimension tables have nothing to do with the roles, so the last option is completely invalid. Choose the correct statements regarding setting a cross-filter direction property for many-to-one relationship between two tables. To answer this question, let's understand the purpose of a relationship. In this example, sales is the fact table and category, product and year are dimension tables. The relationship between the tables is indicated by an arrow mark. The one indicates the one side of the relationship and the star indicates the many side of the relationship. Always the one side filters the many side and these arrow marks perfectly indicate the filter direction. To find the sales quantity of category A for the year 2018, first the dimensions category and year are filtered and these filters navigate through to the fact table to get the final result. For category A, products 1 and 3 are filtered in the product table and further these two products filter the sales table. And since the year 2 filters the sales table for the value 2018, we have the sales value as 11 as the final result. So the purpose of a relationship is to propagate the filter context from one table to the other. Note that all the relationships here are one directional. That is, the filters propagate from one side to the many side. You can also set any of the relationships as bidirectional in Power BI. In that case, the filters will propagate from the many side to the one side too. For example here, the relationship between sales and product is bidirectional. That is, both sales and product filter each other. Now, the presence of a bidirectional relationship can make this model ambiguous. Or in other words, the bidirectional relationship creates multiple paths between the tables. For example, from date table, you can reach purchases table via two different paths. Directly from date to purchases or from date to sales and then from sales to product made possible by the bidirectional filter and then from product to purchases. So the model is ambiguous and if you are slicing the purchases table by the date table, you get different results depending on the filter path chosen. Based on the above discussions, all options A, B and C are right answers. Option D is incorrect as the context filter will be propagated from the one side to the many side and not vice versa. unless you turn on the bidirectional filter. You need to create a measure that will always calculate the total sales for 2020, irrespective of the year selected in any other visual in Power BI. Which of the following is the right way to create such a measure? Well, with the calculate function in DAX, you can create a measure that can override the context to express the correct result. Let me walk you through a simple example to demonstrate what I mean. Here we have sales data which has the region, year and the sales information. Let's create a new measure for calculating the sales data for the year 2015 with the help of calculate function, which takes one mandatory expression to be evaluated, which will be the sum of sales, and optional expressions that define the filter. To define the sales data only for the year 2015, set the year to 2015 in the filter expression. Once done, let's create a column chart visual and plot the sum of sales, and plot the sales only for the year 2015. Let's use the year field as one of the filters. If you filter by the year 2014, the total sales value gets filtered, but the sales value for the year 2015, which is created with the calculate function, is untouched. You still see the same value. So this is what I mean when we said that the calculate function can override the context. The calculate function will override any filter defined for the visual. Well, on the other hand, if you apply any other filter, for example region, the filter context will be applied and the measure value will get filtered. So option A is the right answer. Option B is incorrect, as calculate is the DAX function and sum should be used inside the calculate function. The syntax is completely incorrect. Option C is incorrect too, as there is no function in DAX like total. You have recently joined an organization as a database administrator. Your senior has asked you to create aggregation for a particular database. Which of the following methods can't be used to create the aggregation? Well, aggregating data means to summarize the data and present it at a higher grain. And aggregations can be created in any one of the following ways. If you have access to the database, you can create a table or a view with the aggregation and then import the object into Power BI desktop. Or you can use Power Query Editor to create the aggregations. Now points A, B and C describe the 3 points that's mentioned in the documentation. Option D is correct, as aggregations can't be created by using data visualization tools in Power BI desktop. Which of the following are the right context for using the funnel chart in Power BI? Select multiple options. Well, funnel charts help visualize a process that has sequential connected stages where items flow sequentially from one stage to the next. One fine use case where funnel chart is used is a sales process that starts with leads, goes through several stages and ends with a transaction. Each stage in the funnel represents a percentage of the total. So in most cases, a funnel chart is shaped like a funnel, with the first stage the largest and each subsequent stage smaller than its predecessor. You can also find funnels where one of the lengthy stages is followed by a very short stage, so here it can identify any bottleneck in the process. So option A is correct, as the funnel chart works best when data is sequential and moves through at least 4 stages. Option C is correct too, as it indicates calculating outcomes by stages. Similarly, option E is another right choice, as we just discussed how funnel charts can reveal bottlenecks in your sales process. Option B is incorrect, as waterfall chart, which shows a running total as values are added or subtracted, is the right choice to show the beginning and the ending head count for an organization in a year. Option D is incorrect too, as a key influencer chart is a good choice to know the different factors that influence a key metric. And finally, a combo chart, not the funnel chart, is the right choice for comparing multiple measures with different value ranges. For example, a typical combo chart combines a column chart with sales values and a line chart with unit sold values. Your manager gives you a task to create a Power BI dashboard for sales data, and you need to add sample questions that can be asked by the users while using the Q&A option. To enable the sample questions, what will you modify in the Power BI settings? Well, let's log into Power BI service and try to add some sample questions for the Q&A feature. In Dashboard, you can either enable or disable the Q&A search box, but there is no way to add questions for the Q&A feature. In Datasets, you have the featured Q&A questions where you can add a question that you want to be shown as a suggestion for this dataset in Q&A. So option C is the right answer. All other options are incorrect. There is an employee table with 4 columns, and you created a report that has the stacked column chart showing the count of employees by department name. You need to customize the information in the visualization tooltip for the chart. What is the first thing that you will do? Well, to customize the default tooltip shown by Power BI, you have to create a report page with the required visuals and use that page as a tooltip. Let me walk you through the process of creating one. So this is the default tooltip shown by Power BI. To change the appearance or the information presented here, first create a new report page. There are a few things you need to do to make sure that this report page appears as a tooltip for the field you need. First, in the Format pane, go to Page Size and select the page type as a tooltip. This provides a report page canvas size that's ready for your tooltip. If you go to the View section, you can view the actual size of the report tooltip. Next, create a visual that you would like to appear as a tooltip. I will create a card visual with sum of sales value. Next, make sure to change the name of this report page and set this report as a tooltip. And finally, in the field section, specify a field so Power BI knows that it should display this report page as a tooltip when the user hovers on that field. So let's come back to the main page, and if we hover over the measure sales for 2015, you get the default Power BI tooltip. But if you hover over sales, you get the report page that we created as a tooltip. The question here is, what is the first thing that you will perform? Well, creating a new report page and setting this report page as a tooltip seems like the right choice. Option E is not even a step in the process, as we enable the tooltip option and not disable it. Options A, B and C indicate to setting a column as a tooltip field. That's indeed one of the steps in the process, but not the first thing that you would do. Which of the following elements are saved when you create a bookmark? Select multiple options. Well, bookmark is a feature in Power BI Desktop that captures the currently configured view of a report page so that you can quickly return to that view later. And it turns out that only the elements like the current page, filters and slicers, sort order, drill location and other details mentioned here are saved when you add a bookmark. So the correct choices are options A, C, E and F. DAX measures and name of the display folders are not saved when you create a bookmark. You have a report with 4 pages. Every page has slicers on the same 4 fields. Users notice that selecting the value for a slicer on one page does not update the visuals on all the pages. You need to make sure that once a value is selected, it must filter the result on all pages. Which of the following might be the possible solutions? Select multiple options. Well, slicers are like any other visual, and the slicer selections on one report page is specific to that report. If you want the slicer selections on one report applied to slicers in other report pages, you can sync the slicers. Select a slicer which you would like to sync and click Sync Slicers. You can either add the slicer and sync with all pages or select specific pages. We will sync the slicers on the first two report pages, so just select them. You can see the same selections apply to the slicer in the other report page. If we change the selection here, it automatically applies to the other page. This is one way to ensure that all your report pages have the same slicers. The other way is to apply report level filters instead of slicers. Let's remove these slicers and drag your field to the section Filters on all pages. Filters applied in any one report will be applicable to all the reports. So options B and E are the right answers. From their names, we can easily ignore options A and C, as a visual level filter applies only to a visual and a page level filter applies only to a specific page. Which of the following Azure Cognitive Services models can be called through the AI Insights feature in Power BI Desktop? Select multiple options. Well, to access the AI Insights feature in Power BI Desktop, navigate to the Power Query Editor. From the AI Insights section, you can access three Azure Cognitive Services models: Text Analytics, Computer Vision, and Azure Machine Learning. All the models like sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, and language detection help derive the meaning of a language from text data, and they are part of text analytics. So all three of them are right choices. You are manager of a sales team and have created a workspace to collaborate with the product team. Depending on the requirements, you have assigned different roles like admin, member, contributor, and viewer to the team members. Which of the following actions can be performed by the contributors of the workspace? Select multiple options. Well, what you can do within a workspace completely depends on the workspace role that you are assigned. Go through this page to learn and understand the abilities of each workspace role. In general, an admin can do everything. Other than the admin, none of the others can manage users. Members can do everything that an admin does, but he cannot modify or delete the workspace. Contributors can publish content in a workspace and can schedule data refresh. Viewers can only view a report or a dashboard or read data that's stored in a workspace. So when it comes to contributors, they can schedule data refresh, create and publish reports, update metadata about the workspace, and publish the app within the workspace. As discussed, other than the admins, no one can add or remove users, so options A and B are incorrect. Here is the list of configuration steps given in improper sequence for row-level security. The question is, we need to identify the correct sequence of steps for RLS configuration. Well, the correct sequence of steps to configure row-level security are: creating a report in Power BI Desktop, which includes importing the data, confirming the data model between both the tables, and creating the report visuals. Then, creating row-level security roles in Power BI Desktop by using DAX. Validating the roles in Desktop so you can verify if the filters are working correctly. Next, deploying the report model to Power BI Service. Fifth step will be adding members to the role in Power BI Service. And finally, testing the roles inside Power BI Service. Option B is the right answer. Once you are done, submit the test and you can verify your performance from the result. Also, you get the performance report domain wise, so you can analyze the questions for any particular domain and you will see all the questions related to that domain, their correct answers and explanations for each question, and also links to the Microsoft documentation in case you like to learn the concept in depth. So if you are preparing for the DA100 Analyzing Data with Microsoft Power BI exam, check the description for the link to the entire practice test that cover the length and breadth of all the objectives in the exam. Also check out my YouTube channel. I have already covered the sample exam questions for other Power Platform certifications, and in case if you don't find them for any Power Platform certification, please leave a comment. I will create a video on that. In addition to that, check out my blog for the DA100 study guide, which lists various resources that you can use to help you prepare for the exam.